When you experience life from the heart space, you are experiencing the higher consciousness. You're experiencing your inner spirit. And you know that you're in the heart space because the heart is the only place that experiences beauty. Your mind can think about beauty and describe it, but your mind cannot feel beauty. Your heart can feel beauty. The heart space is where you feel connectivity. When you feel the air, you're walking through a garden and you feel the sunlight and you feel the breeze and you hear the birds, and there's a split second where there is no separateness, where it is all existing as one thing and you are part of that one thing. That awareness comes from the heart space. Love, connectivity, beauty are perceived in the heart space. So whatever you need to do to get you to there, do it. Watch a sunset, watch a baby, play with your pet, go for a walk, be in your garden, and or think and meditate on memories of love. Focus on that. Retrain your mind to experience gratitude, not just mental gratitude. At first it'll be just an item on a list and you're experiencing mental gratitude, but train yourself to feel the gratitude of each item until eventually you can feel the gratitude of 100 things, until eventually you can feel gratitude all the time. Gratitude also exists in the heart space, which is another form of allowing divine consciousness in. So all of these things that I've told you are ways to allow divine consciousness to exist in your life for split seconds, minutes. And as you hold that, you allow your spirit to do what it's doing. So spirit is the one that's leading your consciousness awakening, but it cannot violate your free will. As long as you exist on this planet as a person with the illusion of separation, your free will is dominant. So you have to get yourself to the point where you believe that this is possible, where you want it to happen, and where you ask for help. And then you have to create moments that allow help to happen. When you create these moments, help comes. It strengthens your understanding, it pierces the veil so that you can see and understand a little bit more, and it makes your consciousness more and more comfortable with dwelling as spirit but it is a slow process. However, as you do this over and over and over, it is a way of setting your intention and strengthening your will and strengthening your resolve and asking for more and more help and allowing more and more help. And the progress is exponential. I am the actor who remembers that every day the actor gets up and plays a character willingly, observes the things that happen to the character in their lives, and goes, oh, well, that's interesting. And then continues to live as the actor playing this role and knows that one day the role will end and the actor will persist. There will just be a moment when you realize that you have become that. You can exist the series of endless thoughts played in a loop. That is your mind. And as long as you listen to the voice of the mind, you listen to the voice of the mind. The use is that right now you can hear my voice because you're listening to it. Can you also hear the other sounds in the room? Can you hear the sound of your breathing? Can you hear the sound of silence? Silence exists at the same time as my voice. Silence exists between every single word that I say, and it exists beneath every word that I say. But you are placing your attention, your awareness on my voice. And every now and then, you need to recognize the sound of silence. In the same way, you're constantly aware of your mind, your thoughts, your to-do list, who you're angry with, who you're upset with, how bad the traffic was, what you have to do, whatever it is you're thinking about, that's where you place your awareness. That is where you place your consciousness. So your consciousness is on the egoic level of identification, the vibration, if you will. The awareness is here. And every now and then, as often as you're capable, you need to hear or perceive or sense spirit, which also exists, but you're not listening to it. How do you listen to spirit? In the beginning, you have to trick yourself. If you take a conscious breath and you are totally aware of that breath, if you only listen to and feel your breath, you cannot think another thought. And in that moment, you are not listening to your mind. And every single moment that you're not fully identified with the consciousness and perspective of your mind, you are identified as spirit. So in the space of one conscious breath, between the inhale and the exhale, there is God. Once a day, take one conscious breath, and grace will pierce a hole in your veil. Have you learned how to use mantras to cause your mind to just get tired and step to the side a little bit so that you can have some peace and quiet? Have you learned to use other traditions, drumming, dancing, chanting, or physically grueling conditions such as sweat lodges or anything like that? Hard work, in fact, just simple hard work. Eventually your mind gets tired and you just don't want to put effort behind thinking anymore. And there's moments, split seconds, 5 seconds, a minute, 10 minutes if you go into yoga nidra, half an hour, right before you fall asleep, right after you wake up, right after sex. Those are all moments where yoga nidra occurs, where that stillness occurs. And in that stillness, you are not identified with the consciousness of the mind. You're identified with the consciousness of spirit. And once you allow spirit to come in, especially you have given spirit permission to help you and you have asked for that help. Now spirit is not just going to be there like, hey, what's up? The spirit's going to be like, you asked for help. Thank you for granting me a little split second where I can come in there. And spirit will punch holes in that veil and your consciousness will awaken a little more and a little more. The heart space is a level of consciousness where God exists. It is a level of consciousness where you exist as spirit that is not separate from anything else. It is where everyone else's spirit exists. The heart space is one space that all spirits share. We all live in the heart space. But this healing, this shift from one version of life to the other version of life happened spontaneously and completely, and happened without the need for all of that shadow work, all of that cleaning, all of that therapy, the journaling and the whatever, introspection and that kind of stuff. All of that stuff will always continue. But I understand that my mind is healing, that my emotions are purging, that my body is releasing, that my memory is reprocessing. But I understand that I am none of those things. Those things occur to me, they're tools that I have, they're experiences that I witness, but I am spirit. How do you, as the ego, fix the situation when you, as the ego, is the problem? So we understand that the ego is the egoic mind, and the egoic identity is a layer of consciousness that is an illusion, that is acting from a bad place, is acting from a place of separateness and finiteness and fear, and therefore it cannot create anything good. Okay, we want to shift the spirit. How do you shift the spirit? From there. Your only place that you can act is there, because that's where you are. And this is, I personally think, the absolute greatest piece of hope in the spiritual journey. You are not the one doing it. In the first place, you're not the one doing it. Your spirit is guiding your spiritual awakening. Your spirit is the one that is making you feel discontent in your life to the point that you feel depressed. Your spirit is the one that is guiding you through the dark night of the soul, and your spirit is the one that will hold you and bring you through it. Your spirit is the one that is pointing out the linkages that you need to notice in order to realize how you ended up creating this illusion in the first place. Your spirit is the one that is guiding you to the teachings and the teachers along the way. It is not possible to awaken all by yourself. It is a universal law that you have to have people come into your life and light your flame with their flame and share their teachings with you. And your spirit is the one that will make you accidentally find these people. Your spirit is the one that is guiding this. So trust in that process, first of all. The fact that you are doing this as the ego is an illusion. However, the ego does have a role. The ego has to grant permission. You have to begin to remember, I am a spirit. There is spirit. You need to come back to the point where you say, there is more to me than my mind. I acknowledge this. I exist prior to this physical life. I acknowledge this. I do believe that there is a part of my being, my consciousness or my spirit or my soul, whatever you want to call it, that existed before I was born and will exist after I die. So these are things that you have to contemplate to the point where you believe. Allow it to happen. So every now and then, your spirit comes in and helps you. We call it grace. God gives you grace, your spirit gives you grace, whatever way you want to say. Grace comes and helps. And grace punches little holes in the veil and allows you to see the light and allows you to suspect a little more what life is like on that side, and allows you to believe a little bit more. And eventually there's enough holes in the veil that the veil dissolves and you can fully live and experience the world as your spirit. How do these holes and punctures occur? They occur when you allow the consciousness of spirit to exist. Your higher consciousness, your higher self, God consciousness, Christ consciousness, or existing in the heart space. You need to move forward. You need to live life from the truth. You need to live life back that you are not alone, that you are loved. That you are loved by not a flawed human being. You are loved by love itself. You are loved by the infinite source of love. You are capable. Not capable because you study hard and you work hard. You are capable because you are capable, infinitely capable of anything. You are worthy, not because you deserve, not because you're a good girl or a good boy, not because you did good deeds. You are worthy because you are worthy. You are loved, you are capable, you are worthy. And anything is possible in your life, because the vast majority of your being is not this human being, this physical body. The vast majority of your being exists in the spiritual world, exists before this particular timeline or before this particular version of the universe. The vast majority of yourself exists where everything is possible before anything has really been chosen yet. The vast majority of your being exists where your future is not determined. It exists where there is really no time, and where there is no limitations, where there is abundance of all resources. Everything exists where your future is not determined. It exists where there is really no time, and where there is no limitations, where there is abundance of all resources. Everything exists in the spirit realm, and the vast majority of you lives in that spirit realm. And if you can reconnect with that and live from that place, your life can be completely different. There was simply a moment in deep meditation where I recognized that the voice of my mind, everything that I thought I was, everything that I imagined I was simply an experience within my being. My being was far bigger and greater than that, and myself, I watched my mind, and I was like, oh, okay. And my mind was fretting about what it frets about, and all of those things that it was concerned about. I was like, oh, okay, okay, and that moment changed my entire life. And today I live a life where I'm connected to everyone, where I feel love in my relationship. My marriage is fantastic. I feel love with my friends. I experience the entire world from a place of love, including people who are doing things that other people would consider mean or spiteful or whatever. I perceive everything as love. I receive everything as love. I understand that this world is a play. I understand that everyone is acting from their spiritual disconnect. I accept everyone and forgive everyone. I understand that I am fully abundant, and I live a life where I thoroughly enjoy the things that I spend my time doing, and I make really good, comfortable income from it. I am not worried. I'm not worried. I'm not worried about my death. I'm not worried about the death of the people that are very close to me, and I'm not worried about my financial existence at all. I wake up in the morning and I'm grateful to be here. I sleep extremely well at night. I'm connected. My body feels good. My energy feels good. I eat well. I live well, and I'm not afraid of disease. All of that shift from who I was to who I am today occurred because I remembered who I was, and I started living from that place. I am spirit.
So this here is consciousness. It's the creator, the great mystery. It is life, it is the universe, it is consciousness. It is open and vast and plain, and there's only one of it. It is completely united. There's only one consciousness, right? Anything that occurs in this space is still of this space. So you now, as a human being, are born. And when you're born, you are one location of perception. You are looking this way. Another person is looking that way. But it's all consciousness experiencing life from different ways. So far, so good. There's nothing wrong with that. When you're born, you're given a mind and a body. And these are tools to help you navigate this localized existence that you have. Nothing's wrong with that. So to repeat that, there's nothing wrong with the mind. And the mind thinks. There's nothing wrong with thinking. There's one space. There has always been one space. There will only ever be one space. To say that another way, there is one consciousness. There is one spirit. There is one being. There is one awareness. There is one God. There is not two. There's only one. One with the space around you, the consciousness around you, the spirit around you, the God around you. Because remember, you are consciousness. You may have a mind and a body. You may have a voice, eyes, hair, face, name, but you are consciousness. You are spirit. It is actually the voice of your spirit calling you back home. It is a beautiful moment. And with proper guidance and grace, you will come to the point where you realize that what's happening is a spiritual awakening. So spiritual awakening is the awakening of your spirit. Technically, your spirit was never asleep, so let's call it the remembering of your spirit, or the hearing of your spirit's voice once more, right? But let's just say spiritual awakening because that's easier.
The divine I always represent as light. I think it's a beautiful metaphor. The divine is shining everywhere. It is the light that is everywhere in the universe. It is the force of, it is the creative energy. It is the consciousness and movement. It creates energy. It creates matter. It creates everything. It is everything. It is the consciousness that shines in and through everything. It decides that it's time to create you. It gets that it is being expressed here, but is really this light, this consciousness, this life, this love, this energy that is flowing through the person and creating the person is what the person is. You can allow the light. You can shift and say, let me lift my awareness off of the shadow. Let me dissolve my awareness of this physical form, of the five senses of my physical life. You lift your awareness from what you think you are, and you allow what you actually are to shine forth. To be honest, the name that we should be calling it is God, but you can call it Christ consciousness. You can call it Krishna consciousness. You can call it oneness, the self, source, whatever. I'm going to call it the self, the higher self. When you recognize the self inside of you, you recognize the self, you get to know the self, the ultimate self, the absolute self. It is this truth, this beauty, this power, this force, this love, this stillness, this ability, this potential, this knowing, this consciousness is inside of you.
When you get to know it, you get to recognize it. Like hearing your friend's voice in a crowd, or like smelling your favorite perfume. You know who that is. And you recognize the self inside of you. You recognize, oh, this idea is from the self, this guidance is from the self, this wisdom is from the self, this warning is from the self. But you also recognize the self elsewhere. And you see the self in the details of life, in the little coincidences, in the beautiful things, in the way your path is guided, in the way you are led to where you need to be before you know you need to be there, in the way that your problems, the resources that you need to solve your problems are given to you before you even realize you have the problem. That's when you start to see the hand of the self, the working of the self. And you see that in the world, in world situation, world events. You look and you see, I understand, this here is a stimulus for awakening. This here is a pathway for the self expressing itself. And you start to recognize that the play, the whole thing that we're working with, all the Play-Doh is the self. And then you start to recognize the self in other people. You look at your son, your mom, your whoever, your father, your boss, and you say, that is not who you are. That is the experience that you are having. You are, the self is inside of you. I see it. I see it. When I remember any loving moment that we shared, I detect that familiar feeling of the self. When I surrender to the trust within myself, when I trust the self, I understand that the self that is taking care of me is the same self that takes care of you. And in the same way that I'm confident or have faith that I'll be okay, I have faith that you'll be okay. The light is there. The light is within that person, waiting to be expressed. The light in them and around them. The conversation now is with the light. So we used the word light, now let's use the word God. When we said, light, show me the light, let me feel the light. Now you say, God, where are you? Are you in there? You look inside yourself, you say, God, are you in there? God says, I'm here. You look around you, you say, God, are you there? And God says, I'm here. I'm everywhere. I'm here. See, I'm here. And you say, God, are you there? And God says, I'm here. There it is. There is this situation in the light of God, in the consciousness of the divine, in the perception of the divine. Here is that person in a new light. The perception of the situation changes. The perception of you in the situation changes. And nothing has changed. This physical being hasn't changed. This physical being hasn't changed. What has changed is your perception. You are no longer bounded in your physical body, looking at the illusion of yourself called the ego that you think is what you are. You have stepped aside for just a moment. You said, shh, let's just go into meditation for a few minutes and let's just perceive the light. What if we just perceive the light? The light. And when you perceive the light, you see the light everywhere because the light is everywhere. The light is everywhere. Is that turning inwards, detecting God and the divine within you, surrendering to the consciousness of the divine via meditation, removing your awareness from your physical problems and the physical conditions in front of you and around you for a few minutes every day will help you to see light. And when you look for light, you see light. When you look for God, you see God. When you say, are you there, God? God says, I am. Is that turning inwards, detecting God and the divine within you, surrendering to the consciousness of the divine via meditation, removing your awareness from your physical problems and the physical conditions in front of you and around you for a few minutes every day will help you to see light. And when you look for light, you see light. When you look for God, you see God. When you say, are you there, God? God says, I am. You no longer need anything, but you seek to express things. And by dwelling in that nature, you develop a relationship with your higher self, the spirit within, with the self, with a capital S, and you start to see as the self, and you start to you start to have inspiration as the self, ideas of how to express in this world as the self. You become very, very familiar with your true nature, peaceful, loving, joyful, and you want to find ways to bring that out of the inner space into the physical world. Now I want to get into beholding. It's perceiving. But now that you are understanding your true nature, Now that you're understanding that you're connected with spirit, that you are guided by spirit, that you're protected by spirit, and that everything that happens for you, through you, and for your growth and development. Now you see things differently. Now that you understand that the one spirit that created this world is part of you, you also start to see your nature differently. You understand, okay, I am eternal. The things that I learn are on an eternal scale. You start to realize I am complete. And you realize you are not an evil person. You are a broken person. You're an afraid person. You're a disconnected person. You see yourself, the world, and the people in the world differently. This eventually leads to compassion. It eventually leads to love. What it is that's happening is that it's a recognition of the oneness, the thing, the consciousness that is inside of you. Call it what you want. Call it spirit. Call it God. Call it the light. It is inside of you. It is not separate from you. It is not apart from you. It's not over there. It's inside of you. It is accessible to you. It is informing you, supporting you, guiding you. And as you surrender to it and dissolve into it, you realize that it is you. You and it are essentially the same thing. Different aspects of it and different planes of existence. You are the earthly physical plane, and this is the eternal cosmic spiritual plane. But it is two aspects of the same thing, like an iceberg, above the water, below the water. But there's any possible name. To be honest, the name that we should be calling it is God. You can call it Christ consciousness. You can call it Krishna consciousness. You can call it oneness, the self, source, whatever. I'm going to call it the self, the higher self. The higher self makes it easier to understand. But if you ever see the self written with a capital S anywhere in the readings that you do, that is what I'm referring to. When you recognize the self inside of you, you recognize the self, you get to know the self. The ultimate self, the absolute self. It is this truth, this beauty, this power, this force, this love, this stillness, this ability, this potential, this knowing, this consciousness that's inside of you. When you get to know it, you get to recognize it.